Who knew that training for an ultra marathon could be such deadly business? I got the Vermont 100 endurance race coming up in 2 weeks, and I've been running and running and running, and I've been reading Jason Koop's Training Essentials. What's it called? I've been reading Jason Koop's Training Essentials for ultra running and doing everything that I've been told to do. I've been running the correct number of hours per week, been running as many miles as I possibly can. I've been training to the specifics of the event now that we're getting closer and closer to the event. This is 3 weeks out. I was going to start tapering 3 weeks out. So really that was already in place. And here I am in the hospital last night. What happened? What happened is I've done a series of very difficult weeks leading up to this point. The last 4 weeks of training have been 60 miles, followed by 80 miles, followed by 80 miles, followed by 95 miles last week. I took Sunday off, and then I did 10 on Monday. I took Tuesday off, and yesterday was Wednesday. I did 15 in the morning. I took the middle of the day off, and then I went out and I did another 15 at night. And felt fine. Everything felt fine. I drank 1 liter of water for each of those runs with me. I brought it with me. And then as I was going to bed, the last thing I did, brushed my teeth, went pee, and I saw that it was dark brown. And alarmingly dark brown. I've never seen pee that dark before. And it kind of startled me enough that I got in bed and I decided to Google the question, what makes pee turn brown? And lying there in my bed, 11 p.m., thinking about going to sleep, here I am scrolling. Have I mentioned before that my neighborhood is really difficult for making YouTube videos in? Here I was at 11 p.m. Googling what makes your pee turn brown, and I went on WebMD titled, Why is your urine brown? And it gives blood in urine. There are many different causes of this. These include kidney or bladder infections, internal injury, some STDs, viruses, menstruation, bladder or kidney inflammation, prostate. Then there's hepatitis, cirrhosis of the liver. I haven't had a single drink in almost 2 years now. Kidney disease. No, I don't think I have any kidney disease right now. Intense exercise is literally fifth one down. And if you read the entry here, it says, in rare cases, intense exercise can cause muscle cells to burst and leak into the bloodstream. This condition is called rhabdomyolysis, or rhabdo, and it can turn your urine brown. If you have brown urine because of rhabdo, you might also notice muscle pain, muscle weakness. Rhabdo can also cause kidney damage and can be life-threatening. If you think you have it, get medical attention. Okay then, intense exercise. I did do 30 miles yesterday. I haven't done a 30-mile day in a while. So I can click on the rhabdomyolysis link.
Rhabdomyolysis.
Another WebMD page. Rhabdomyolysis.
Rhabdomyolysis.
What is it? Rhabdomyolysis, called rhabdo for short, is a serious condition caused by direct or indirect muscle injury. It happens when the muscle fibers die and release their contents into your bloodstream. This can lead to serious complications such as renal failure. This means your kidneys can't remove waste in concentrated urine. In rare cases, rhabdomyolysis can even cause death. However, early treatment often brings a good outcome. Rhabdomyolysis causes a crush injury, such as from an auto accident, fall, or building collapse. Long-lasting muscle compression, electric shock, lightning strike, third-degree burn, venom from a snake bite, the use of alcohol or illegal drugs such as heroin, cocaine, or amphetamines, extreme muscle strain, especially in those assigned male at birth who exercise regularly and have a body mass index of over 30, not me, whether due to being overweight or extremely muscular. It can happen in elite athletes too. A very high body temperature. Those who work outside in hot weather or exposed to high temperatures are at higher risk, including construction workers, military service members, farmers, firefighters, first responders. It's very hot lately. I've been running. I haven't stopped running. A metabolic disorder such as ketoacidosis, type 1 diabetes. And get this, last paragraph in this section. Some doctors have seen an uptick in rhabdomyolysis cases,
Rhabdomyolysis.
which they attribute to the rise of extreme exercises, such as high-intensity interval training, spinning, CrossFit, and ultra running. Signs and symptoms of rhabdomyolysis might be hard to pinpoint. This is largely true because the course of rhabdomyolysis varies depending on its cause. Also, its symptoms may affect the whole body or just one area and may occur in both early and later stages. The classic triad of rhabdomyolysis symptoms are muscle pain in the shoulders, thighs, or lower back. I'll tell you, thighs are clear. Obviously, I get soreness in the thighs because I'm running a lot. I get pain in the lower back also, soreness in the lower back also because I run a lot, but also because I actually have a permanently broken back, which is a topic for another day. But I've had a broken back since I was 13, I think it was. So my back always hurts. And shoulders. Interestingly, just yesterday, during the running that day, I was wearing my hydration belt, so I had bottles in the belt, and I wear it in such a way that it's sort of off center, so that I have one bottle right on my hip here. That causes me to have to put my arm out as I run by it, and that actually causes my shoulder to get quite sore. And I noticed that pain was still there in the evening when I was wearing my hydration vest instead of my hydration belt, and I didn't need to put my arm up anymore, but it was still sore. So that keyed me in again when I was reading this last night, late night. And then muscle weakness or trouble moving arms and legs. I mean, come on. I'm tired. I'm sore. I've run 30 miles today. I've run 95 miles last week. I'm at peak training for a 100-mile ultramarathon. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm sore. Dark, red, or brown urine or decreased urination. When I thought about it, I don't think I had gone pee since I'd gotten back from my run at 8 p.m. It was now 11. So yeah, maybe I hadn't had enough water. What I have been doing, because I read Jason Koop's book, literally that day, yesterday, is that I have been weighing myself both before and after my runs to quantify exactly how much fluid I'm giving up to sweat, which I've learned is that over the course of 20 miles, a 2.5-hour run, I am losing 1.5 liters of fluid per hour, which is kind of right in the middle of the range of normal. It's on the upper end of normal, I guess, but it is within the bounds of regular people. And I took with me, I will say, on both of my runs, I took hydration. I brought only a liter for each of those runs. So I had 1 liter over the course of 2 hours for each of those runs yesterday. But I did get home. I did know that I needed to have roughly 3 liters for 2 hours based on my data that I already have. And so I drank 2 liters after my first run. And then I got home and I drank, I think, probably 2 other liters, but maybe not after I got back from my evening run. Frankly, I didn't pay that much attention because it was late and I was thinking about going to bed and eating dinner and doing all the things that I needed to do, take the dog out. It's too hot for the poor dog to go running out on the pavement with me. So I guess I didn't drink enough. Keep in mind that half of people with the condition may have no muscle-related symptoms. Other common signs of rhabdo include abdominal pain, nausea or vomiting, fever, rapid heart rate, confusion, dehydration, lack of consciousness. And then it goes into the ways that they diagnose it. A liver function test, EKG, they might do a chest x-ray. They'll certainly test my creatine kinase blood test, which is CK as they were calling it in the hospital, and myoglobin urine test. So basically they are looking for how much blood you have in your urine, and they're testing to see the creatine kinase CK test is how much broken down muscle fiber you have in your blood. If you've been reading Jason Koop's book or any other book on training for endurance, you learn pretty quickly for training athletes at all is that the process of becoming a better athlete involves hard exercise that results in broken down muscle fiber. The muscle fiber needs to get flushed out of your system, and then it gets rebuilt. So that's why you eat protein after you're done with an exercise, because you need to rebuild new muscles after having broken it all down. You need to hydrate in part to keep yourself cool, but also to help your kidneys function and to flush out those dead cells. And you also need to drink to facilitate all of the other functions of your body. Very importantly, your gut function, so that it facilitates the flow of all of the system, the things going through your gut, as well as across the membranes and into your bloodstream. And if you're not keeping up with the fluid intake, those things all break down. And so I was expecting that if I had bad hydration, that I would start feeling an upset stomach. And that never happened. I felt totally fine, to be frank. I was getting in bed, I went pee, and I saw brown pee in the toilet, and that was the only thing that I saw that was unusual. Otherwise, I was a little sore. I'm fine today. I feel totally fine. I felt fine last night. I could go for another run right now. After I read all this last night, I decided that maybe I would go to urgent care, because I know that going to an emergency room is a really expensive prospect. And so I looked them up and I couldn't find any 24-hour urgent cares anywhere near here. But I did see a phone number that you could call for an urgent care hotline, and I called that, and they said, no, you need to go to a hospital right now. It probably is Rhabdo. May very well be. So I said, darn. And I got in the car and I drove the 8 minutes from here to the hospital down the street and went in, and they took me very quickly. I was shocked at how quickly I went through the process. I walked straight in there, gave them my information, and then I went straight into the triage room, and they asked me a bunch of questions. I told them the whole story. As I was driving over there, I was like, making up sort of things in my mind. I thought I felt some pain in my back a little bit, like a dull pain back here. And so I told them about that. I told them about the sore shoulder. And then I think that keyed them in. They were like, oh man, you must have like kidney problems. And so, they came over and they were like pushing on my back and couldn't cause any pains. I was like, it was probably in my head, frankly. And so they did a blood draw. They hooked me up to the EKG, and they took a urine sample, which was still very dark brown. I'm surprised I was able to get any out, frankly, after having just peed. And then I got shuttled off to the emergency room that I was going to be in, and I sat in there, and they hooked me up to an IV right away. Before the doctor even saw me, the nurse was like, I know he's going to do this anyway, so you should just get on this. After they set me up with the IV, they came in and told me that my CK, my creatine kinase, had tested at 451, mildly elevated. Doctor admitted to me at the end that this is not a subject that is in his wheelhouse. And so he was like, it's mildly elevated. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep track of you. And we're going to, give you some treatment here. We're going to hook you up to the IV, and we're going to monitor you for a while. And once you've got all those fluids in you, we'll check you again and we'll see what your number is doing. In essence, what they wanted to know is that my kidneys were still functioning. What I've learned is that with rhabdomyolysis, you are concerned that your muscles have broken down in such a way that it's become too much for your system, in particular your kidneys, in combination with being too dehydrated. And so what that means is that you've got so many broken down muscle fibers, the CK in your bloodstream, that it gets into your kidneys, and your kidneys can't deal with it because there's not enough fluid, and it clogs them up, and then they can't do anything else, and your kidneys go into renal failure. They fail. And then all of the junk gets built up in your bloodstream and you die. So that's what the emergency was all about. And what they wanted to know was whether my kidneys were still functioning. And so, whether that 451 was on the way up to something terrible, or whether the 451 was just a minor blip and going back down because I had done such an extreme amount of exercise. And so they gave me 2 liters, I think it was 2 liters, 2 bags anyway, of IV over the course of 5 hours I was there. And they tested me again. And my number went down to 350. So what that indicated to them was that my kidneys are functioning fine. I was going back down. To be clear, mildly elevated 451. To be concerned for rhabdomyolysis, you have to be at 1,000, he tells me. He went back and the doctor went upstairs and went to his office or whatever and researched this and came back with this 1,000 number. So I wasn't even really close. And at the end of the day, after this whole adventure, he says to me, look, your type 1 diabetes probably doesn't have anything to do with this at all. Maybe your kidney function is slightly diminished because you've had type 1 diabetes for 30 years. But more importantly right now is the fact that you are dehydrated, clearly. You've done extreme amounts of exercise over the last few weeks. It's very hot outside, so your body's working extremely hard through this heat and extra because of the heat. And what is important is that you stay hydrated, you take a day off because we've just had this scare and we don't really know if we've potentially done a little bit of damage to your kidneys. So let's take a day or 2 off and recover, and let's get back into it and tell your PCP about it and make sure that your PCP does another test on this later in the future so that you can keep an eye on this and make sure that this doesn't become a more permanent thing for you. What the heck, man? This apparently is a real thing for ultra running. Your body breaks down so much muscle fiber over the course of extreme amounts of activity like this, and it challenges your body, it challenges your systems. It's not just this extreme effort that you're putting on your muscles. It's this other downstream effects that you have, particularly your kidneys. I think your liver somehow plays into it. Ultra running is a complicated science experiment. And that's what I've learned through Jason Koop's book. I keep mentioning Jason Koop's book, The Training Essentials for Ultra Running, which I highly recommend you read. If you're trying to be an ultra runner yourself, you should definitely read that book. Western States 100 just happened last week, and I saw a post from Outside magazine that, no surprise, like 5 of the top 10 finishers there were all coached by him. So he knows what he's doing. So in other words, I am going to have to continue researching this subject. This is not something I know enough about. And it's possible that this is going to be a red flag. I don't know. I read the book Born to Run. And in that, they talk about Caballo Blanco, follow him through. This is this guy who, this gringo who went and lived with the Tarahumara down in Mexico, in the canyon lands. I'm blanking on the name of the canyons down there. And he basically ran all day, every day for fun and for lifestyle, and became sort of like a man who lives off of the wilderness for long periods of time. And he just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. It's something to be admired. And then by the time the second book came out, turns out he's dead. And he died out in the wilderness. What did he die of? Let me see if I can bring that up. Copper Canyon. Yeah, Caballo Blanco, whose real name is Micah True. According to Wikipedia, it says, however, Dr. James O'Keefe looked at the pathology report and believes that Micah True's enlarged, thickened heart with scar tissue is a pathology some extreme endurance athletes develop termed Fippides cardiomyopathy. According to their hypothesis, this pathology occurs because endurance sports call for sustained increase in cardiac output for several hours, which puts the heart into a state of volume overload. It has been shown that approximately 1/3 of marathon runners experience dilation of the right atrium and ventricle, have elevations of cardiac troponin and natriuretic peptides. A smaller fraction later develop small patches of cardiac fibrosis that are likely substrate for ventricular tactile immersion, and sudden death. He's got a heart problem. And the question is, how dangerous is ultra running? I don't know. But I'm obsessed. I used to drink alcohol, and I was obsessed with that. Now I don't drink alcohol anymore, and I'm no longer obsessed. Instead, I run marathons and now ultra marathons, and I'm obsessed. Maybe it's the obsession that's going to kill me. I'm smiling and I'm laughing about it right now, but I don't know, man. People are mad at me for continuing to run after this and frustrated with me about this. And all I can say is that this is what gives me joy, and this is my challenge in my life. This is what drives me forward. And yeah, I'm going to take a step back for a few days here, but I'm going to put my foot back on the gas. And I'm going to talk with my doctor, and I'm going to figure this thing out. And we're going to move forward, and we're going to keep monitoring these things. And I'm going to run the Vermont 100 in 2 weeks and 2 days. And we're going to get through it, and it's going to be awesome. And then we'll see what happens next. Thanks for watching.